everyone. Okay, hi, I'm Kirsty. My work with sound in games balances the dark arts of technology with lighter, playful contexts. From pixels to parties, I'd like to introduce you to some of the ways I design opportunities for people to play with sound through various degrees of interaction. My route into game design was through rule-based musical processes. We ended up with do, re, mi because a medieval monk took the first syllable and corresponding pitch of a well-known hymn and used them as a musical code to help his students learn and remember new chant melodies. Composer John Cage worked with algorithms in a playful context in his musical chess piece Reunion, performed with his Dadaist friend Marcel Duchamp. Their light-sensitive chessboard acted as a mixing desk, selecting and distributing sounds according to their moves in the game across a multi-channel speaker system. With rule-based composition, there's plenty of scope to involve the audience as active performers of the composer's intention. Likewise, in games, players become performers of the sound through playful interactions with the game's structures and narratives. One of my first games was Sounds of Solitaire. It's a novel interface for musical expression based on an extended PEG solitaire board as a generator of live musical composition. It serves as an example of how technology can be integrated with a playful creative context. In it, ball bearings act as both solitaire pegs and switches. Inside the box, there's a purpose-built solenoid monochord and a ball bearing run that you can see along the bottom there, which provide the analog sound sources which are manipulated in real time according to the player's sequence and pace of moves. Game rules can place limits, but they can also be guides for invention. This is Maze, a multiplayer game combining Celtic maze patterns with snakes and ladders. It uses sound as a game controller and as a structure for free improvisation performance. The player's style of play is analysed by a MaxMSP patch and used to determine the journey through the board and real-time sampling. In time, the performer will gain a familiarity with the system. Using the expressivity of their musical performance, they can master the mechanic and use it to shape their journey. Kata Kata is an interactive kinetic sound sculpture based on an interpretation of the classic wooden toy, the Jacob's Ladder. It uses the familiarity of the smartphone as a game controller in a gallery context, and I've had the privilege of exhibiting it in the Talbot Rice Gallery, Hannah McClure Centre in Dundee, and the National Museum of Scotland. Using a web app, gyroscope data is sent from the visitor's smartphone to the sculpture itself. Tilting the phone triggers the sculpture's movement while manipulating subtle variations of the analog sound, which is sampled as the wooden blocks clatter downwards. Under the hood, there's a lot of technology, combining MaxMSP, Arduino, and Node.js, but it balances out to be a lot of fun for the players. Through interaction, the player becomes an active and at times mesmerized participant, effectively tuning the gallery space. Now, for my mobile game Hydra, a one-touch infinite scroller for iOS and Android. It was designed for players of all ages and abilities, but I had in mind people that had little or no experience of mobile games and were maybe new to touchscreens or had a negative view of them. Using a novel, unique rotation mechanic, the aim of the game is to align the polyhedral shapes and balance them color side down on a series of slope platforms. Players can notch up their score by playing against the clock or chill out in Zen mode with no time pressures. Hydra uses an adaptive soundtrack, arranging small fragments of music in real time, depending on the player's play style. The aim was to avoid the fatigue of loop music popular in other mobile games, while generating a different musical experience with each play. Freak is a sound matching game where players match pairs of frequencies across a range of timbres. The game uses cutting-edge procedural audio, allowing for real-time synthesis and reducing the need for large libraries of recorded sounds. Freak could have potential in ear and memory training contexts. Working in a hybrid creative tech area, I find no time to stop and stare at evolving technology. It's curious that as a sound artist embarking in AR and VR development, I find myself increasingly involved with visual design to create new interactive sound environments. My first augmented reality game for iOS is Fit In. My take on those game shows where you have to fit through holes in moving walls to avoid being pushed into a pool of water, except here there's no water, and you're a dancing stick man with googly eyes. While I see huge potential for interesting uses of dynamic audio in AR, Fit In is likely to be played out and about in noisy spaces, so the relationship of sound to visuals almost seems a bit of a U-turn in the scope of my work. However, it's a different story in the VR version that I made. That was it at the V&A. Move Bitch is a room-scale VR version of Fit In. Here, music plays an integral part, lending to the playfulness of the experience, which uses Vive controllers to track the player's hips instead of their hands, encouraging the player to dance as they play. This is it being played at the V&A Friday night late in September. So that's a wee taster of how I'm working to make the world sound a better place through playful, game-driven experiences. From using games to generate musical material to using sound as a game controller. With every level, there's more to hear than meets the eye. Thank you.